This is Leftist ASMR, and you can tell I'm with my friend Katie today, who's going to be joining us because I actually just moved into her apartment. I've been doing lots of moving lately. I was in my boyfriend's place before. Now I am here at my friend Katie's place. She's super gracious to let me into her place while I don't have a place to live for a month, so I appreciate her. And she wanted to be part of my ASMR video, so I'm super excited to have her help me. And she also helped me kind of think of the idea for today's video. She helped me kind of outline the video and kind of come up with what we want to talk about. So thank you, Katie. And so today, Katie, do you kind of want to tell everyone what we're talking about?
Yeah, so today we are going to make a video about talking to your conservative relatives about everything that's been going on today, about Black Lives Matter, about the protests that have been going on, or whatever that you need to bring up with your family members in this time.
Yeah, so as you can tell, Katie and I are both white, and so we definitely have racist white people in our lives that we have to confront about certain things, because obviously there's a lot of oppression that's being brought into the news, and I mean it was always there, but it's now being covered a lot. And so I think a lot of our white family members are really talking about it more than they have in the past, and I think it's like our responsibility to be kind of setting them straight in a way, kind of telling them about the movement and kind of trying to get them to be not racist and to join I guess the movement and be supportive of Black Lives Matter, defunding the police, things that we really believe in.
Yeah, definitely.
And this is definitely not an easy task, so we understand this is hard. So we came up with a list of, let's see, how many
I don't know.
pieces of advice did we come up with? So just for context, Katie and I had a long drive from New York City yesterday to Washington, D.C. And we spent about an hour coming up with different, I guess, tips for talking to your white family members about race. So we're going to be sharing those with you.
Yeah, we're talking specifically about talking to your white family members. So we're not talking about like having conversations with friends who might be liberal but maybe not quite to defund the police, or talking to like just other groups of people. We're talking specifically about like the people who are in your family who are white, who you want to be having those meaningful conversations with.
Yeah, which I think Katie can agree with me is a super important part of showing allyship, is having these tough conversations. And like that's kind of what allies are for, is spreading the movement, trying to be anti-racist, and that means like having these really difficult conversations.
Totally.
I think an important thing to just really get down into your memory before having these conversations with your white family members is what exactly is white privilege, and that is just the societal advantages that one may have based on the color of their skin solely. So that's kind of just what white privilege is, and it is definitely super prevalent, especially, I mean, around the world, but definitely also in the United States, which is kind of what we understand a little bit more, just being people who live in the United States.
Yeah, a common phrase going around the internet right now is that having white privilege doesn't mean that your life wasn't hard. It just means that the color of your skin wasn't one of the things making it hard. So that's a good way to kind of distinguish, especially if you're talking to someone who feels like their life has been hard in certain ways, to just remember that white privilege just means your skin color wasn't making it harder for you.
Yeah, so definitely think that just knowing what is white privilege and being able to explain it eloquently to one of your white family members is like a good first step, and that's our first tip.
So our second tip is to do your research and to know what you're talking about. That's pretty big baseline. That's a pretty standard tip, is what I want to say. Should I start over?
No, you're good.
Okay. That's a pretty standard tip when you're going into any conversation, but especially when you're talking about race and you're a white person, you don't want to be just speaking from your own experience. Obviously, you want to really know what Black people in America experience and know what they are talking about and asking for when you're going into those conversations. Also, it's just going to make you probably more insecure or more defensive if you feel like you're caught off guard in the conversation and you're not really sure what you mean when you say things anyway. So you definitely want to know what you're talking about before you go into that conversation.
Yeah, and obviously, white people aren't going to, know everything ever, and you're going to mess up. But I think the best way to, prevent messing up more than you have to, and going in feeling well researched is by like doing the work. So reading, black theorists and race theorists and writers and academics. So like James Baldwin, Angela Davis, Audre Lorde. So just like going into it with kind of a baseline knowledge, so that you're not just saying things without I guess knowing anything what you're talking about. Definitely, that's not to say that you're ever going to know everything, because you won't. So I think it's best to get started from someplace, but I think it's also important to not be negligent. So like just do your research, and I also think it'll make you feel more comfortable and more confident going into these conversations, knowing that you're not just speaking out of your ass.
Totally.
Yeah.
So our third tip is to try not to get into a numbers war with the person who you're talking to. This is something that I've been trying a lot recently, and feel free to let us know if you have any thoughts about this, because it's kind of something new we've been talking about together. But it seems like a lot today, especially when you're arguing via texting or Facebook or something like that. It's really easy for people to want to throw numbers into the mix. And while obviously I do and we do believe that the statistics are highly in our favor, it's really easy to get into a war over numbers. And while statistics are helpful, especially when you're talking about systematic oppression, also people can find numbers, statistics, articles to back up any kind of a viewpoint. So when you start saying, this percent of people suffers from this, or this percent of police does this, it's really easy for family members to fire back at you statistics that are on their side. And when you do that, you kind of pull away from the humanity of the issues that you're talking about. So sometimes I'll even come straight out and say, I don't want to go too much into statistics or articles in this conversation. I just want to really talk with you about, person on person, what we're looking at here, like how you look at other human beings and how you treat someone who does not have the same skin color as you. And I think although we do want to have those conversations about big systematic oppression and change, I find a lot of the time when you're talking to someone who's really conservative and someone who maybe respects you as a family member, like we said, it helps to kind of call them out on that. Just like, look at this as human to human, not just like a numbers game where you throw those back and forth, but really like, what does this mean for how you treat other people?
Yeah, and like Katie said, like that's not to say that the statistics aren't on our side, because the statistics are definitely on our side. It's just like I think it can really quickly turn off the conversation into a less productive conversation. So I think maybe when you're talking to like a certain population that's like would define themselves as a liberal, but isn't someone who's like pro-abolition, that's when I think statistics may be more useful, because I mean they're already kind of on your side. You're just trying to make them understand, like that next level. But I think like when you're talking to someone who is like just not at all there, I just don't know if I've ever had a lot of luck or success using just making it a numbers conversation. And I think that's kind of what we're getting at.
Yeah, if I'm talking to a family member who isn't comfortable even saying Black Lives Matter, the getting into all those statistics is not really going to get them there. Usually starting off with just like, what does this mean for how you as a white person can be in fellowship with someone who's black? Like that is a better usually jumping off point for me right now.
Yeah. Okay, so tip number 4 is that we should not just be sending articles to our white family members or our conservative family members that explain our issue or what we're trying to convey, because from experience, I just don't think it's very effective. So if someone does not agree with you, they're not likely to read the like 3-page article from Huffington Post or like The Atlantic that you send them. They just are not likely to read it. So you're much better off if you're having this conversation over text or Facebook or Twitter, Instagram, is actually write it from your own words, because at the end of the day, the people you're speaking to are people that care about you, and so they're more likely to I guess, more likely to understand what you're trying to say if it's coming from you than if it's coming from another third-party source. I know it's a lot more work to like actually sit there and type like a 5-paragraph response to someone, and it can be tiring. But again, like that's what white allies are for. We should be doing that tiring work, and just sending an article is most times not going to work. They're not going to read it. If they do read it, they're not going to agree with it or believe it. So I think like actually personalizing those with your own voice is really helpful when you're talking to your white family members.
Yeah, definitely. I would say, I mean, even if you're talking to a family member who says to you, like, show me the facts, like, show me the stats, whatever it is, I mean, it's good to have resources on hand, but I'm really just talking from personal experience. I don't think that really ever when I've shared some kind of an article, no matter how blatant it lays out the facts on my side, if I'm talking to a really conservative family member, that they are willing and able to kind of trust that source or really do the reading that it takes to get through that article or whatever it is. So it's definitely, like we said, good to have those resources and do your research beforehand. But I think that sharing too much information that doesn't come directly from you, again, when you're talking to a family member who's willing to have the conversation with you in the first place, yeah, usually just kind of throwing articles or stats out there just really not best.
Oh my god, you're like giving me ASMR.
It's the gum. Okay, so our tip number 5 is to make sure that you address in the conversation that you love and respect your family member. That can also be a challenge, even though it doesn't seem like it should be in this time, especially if you're really emotional or what they said has really hurt you or offended you in some way. But I think that it's important to make sure when you're talking to a family member to let them know, I want to have this conversation with you because I love you and because I respect you. I know, especially for me too, in personal experience, my family loves to say, because we're family, then we shouldn't go into this, like, let's not keep fighting because we're family, or let's not talk about touchy subjects because we're family. And we want to push back on that and say, well, because I think we're family and that means I love and respect you, then that's why I want to have this conversation. We should be having these conversations in places where we're comfortable and where we trust each other.
Yeah, like what I always say to my family members is like, if you can't agree with me on this, then I don't think we're gonna have the relationship that we have now, because I can't, I just like can't, I guess, tolerate or enable racism. So it's like, I'm like doing so much work having this conversation with you so that I can stay, close with you, because otherwise I won't be able to. So it's like, when you have that family member, and I get that too, where it's like, oh, like we're family, shouldn't be talking politics. Like yes, I don't know where you got that notion from, but I understand like maybe where you're coming from, but I cannot be in your life unless you can genuinely be on my side here, because I just like can't enable the racism. So like it just is important to me for us to have this conversation. I think that's definitely something important to get across, like, because you're my family member is why we need to have this conversation.
Yeah, and for a lot of families too, I think that this notion of, we can avoid politics is kind of made up. Obviously, we don't agree that that's important. I know where it came from, but I think it's just also not really realistic. In my family, we've often tried to say we won't talk politics, and it's only 10 minutes into the family dinner before politics somehow comes up again, or because I also want to kind of reject the notion that talking about Black Lives Matters equates to talking politics.
I guess it shouldn't be like it's like
not like
a baseline.
Yeah.
Like, are you racist or not?
Yeah, so
Or are you trying to be not racist?
right, like whether or not we agree to not talk politics, like I'm gonna say that Black Lives Matter, like that's just not like me talking about politics. So yeah, just like when you're talking about life, when you're talking about just like society, these things come up, and so it's really hard to actually not talk politics. And usually when we say we're gonna not talk politics, we just avoid having the good, productive conversations and end up having a lot of passive aggressive jabs going on, which is super not helpful. So yeah, just communicating to your family members that you love them and respect them, and that is why you want to have this good conversation with them, is really important.
Yeah, I think it's like definitely become like a funny millennial Gen Z like meme that like we go to Thanksgiving dinner and like our Aunt Karen is like being racist and like we have to go to our rooms. Like everyone experiences this, but but it doesn't mean you have to kind of push back there.
Yeah, for sure. It's our job right now.
Yeah. Okay, so number six. Number six is to be validating your white family members' emotions, but also letting them know that this isn't about them. Like, their emotions isn't the topic at hand. So you're gonna hear, like, particularly with my family, I'll get like, oh, so, you know, like, this makes me really sad to know that I'm racist, or blah 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 blah. And then I have to say, okay, like, I understand how that can make you sad, but that's not what's important right now. Like, that's obviously, I don't know if people watching probably have heard of a term called white fragility, and it's like so real, and it can like stop an unproductive conversation in its tracks. Like, once that white fragility comes out, and we all do it. Like, I'm sure Katie and I at one point or many points have demonstrated white fragility. But like, our parents and our grandparents and cousins, uncles, aunts might not know what that term is, so they might not be like wary of it in their lives. So like, when they're having these conversations, you might get a lot of your white family members saying things like, oh, like, this is just such a sad way to live, to constantly be thinking about these things, and like, privilege, like, it makes me really angry to hear because I've worked so hard. And to say, like, I understand that you're sad and angry, I can't take that from you, like, those are your emotions, but at the same time, that is not the conversation at hand. That's not what's important right now. I think it's important to get across.
Yeah, I think that it's super common right now, like Eric was saying, just because of white fragility, that when you try to have any kind of a conversation about this stuff, that white family members get really defensive, that they want to go on and on about the good work that they've done for social justice issues, or they want to say, yeah, like, you're making us uncomfortable, we shouldn't be talking politics, whatever it is, like, feeling upset or offended that the conversation's even being had, or that there's insinuation that they're racist or something. I've had several family members say, you know, it's like so sad and so unfair that I'm being called a racist, and like, not once in the conversation was the word racist used. So that kind of projecting is coming out a lot, and you want to just validate the feelings people have, because it is, you know, fair that someone feels scared or hurt or confused by this information that they've chosen not to face most of their lives, but you want to just like hear that out, validate it, and then separate it from the issues, like Eric was saying. So, you know, saying things like, I know that these kinds of conversations are really scary, and I definitely understand just feeling tense or defensive right now, because this is something that you might not have had a lot of hard conversations about in the past, but we're actually not talking about whether or not, you know, that was the case, or like the social justice work that you've done or something like that. I often have to say, you know, I know that it's probably really hard to feel like people are calling you racist, but in this conversation, I didn't say that you are a racist, so that's not what we're talking about.
I've definitely said that to family members before. So like,
not that I don't call people racist, I call people racist.
My family members, like, I've definitely called racist, but
sometimes, like, it genuinely,
yeah, they just comes.
People get really defensive about things that aren't happening in the moment, and so that kind of brings it back to like the love and respect thing too, like saying, like, I understand if you feel like the younger society is coming at you and that they saying what you're saying is racist, and like, let's unpack that. But also, if we're talking in this conversation right now, like, I'm not calling you racist, or like, even if you did call them racist, whatever it is, it's like, I'm not asking you about what social justice work you've done, or like, I know this is hurtful, but like, we're not really getting into like your feelings of hurt about all of this right now. Like, we're talking about a specific issue, so it's just kind of validating it, you know, understanding that they have those feelings, but then just saying, you know, but that's actually not what we're talking about right now.
Yeah, I think once the conversation becomes about white feelings, it's no longer a productive conversation.
Yeah.
And then maybe it's best to table the conversation. Like, if this family member is unable to get off of, I'm sad, I'm angry, I hate that you call me racist, things like this, like, then it's probably not a productive conversation. It's maybe best to pause on it for that moment and go back to it later.
For sure.
Yeah.
This is not doing what I wanted to do. 7. Tip number 7. This one is maybe my favorite. Have your friends proofread your messages. I know a lot of us are doing that right now anyways, because these conversations are emotional and everyone's just looking for support. So I There's like a typo.
Oh my god, the biggest, most, literally, you sent 10 paragraphs, perfectly formulated ideas, and then they respond saying like, oh, you said your instead of your without the apostrophe. I'm like, great, amazing. I'm glad you took 6th grade English, but did you get the point? Did you get the point?
It's just so easy in these conversations for people to derail it into something that it's not. So you cannot give people like any little thing that they can hold on to that's not the actual issue at hand. So yeah, I mean, my friends, God bless them, read like all my text messages 1,000 times over. So yeah.
Yeah, and like that personally, I don't think. I mean, I will die on this hill. I don't think grammar is important or spelling, because I mean, one, I think it's like,
It's true.
it is part of white supremacy and colonization that like we're so obsessed with how we spell, like the way we spell things and our grammar, and like that we only think there's one way of doing it.
So true.
So like I'm the first one to be like it's not important, but I just think that at least in my case, I don't give my family any chance to like pick apart my grammar instead of focusing on like the meat of my message.
Yeah, which like can be frustrating too, and we'll talk about this a little bit more later, but you know, putting a lot of work into these conversations, like doing the research and getting these things proofread, like taking time and thought, can lead into a lot of frustration when you don't feel like that's being matched by the other side. But like we're saying, you know, you just don't want to give people anything to distract them other than the main points that you're making. So just making sure to have like one other person read over it, and you can tell your friends if you are not someone who frequently has your friends read over your messages. You can tell your friends, you know, hey, I'm just about to send this. Can you just look for grammatical errors? Or you can say, you know, hey, I'm thinking about this. Could you give me your thoughts about like the actual points I'm making? Or if you think, you know, I'm off base or missing something. So you can communicate with your friends about that. I always do.
But I also just want to make a disclaimer: we're not telling you to text your black friends and ask them to read your messages and like look over them to make sure they're okay. Definitely don't do that.
Don't do that.
That's why you're doing the research beforehand. And like we said, you're gonna mess up. But unless you, I guess if you had a friend who volunteered to look at them because they wanted to, sure. But do not be sending messages to your black friends to look over. You don't want to be creating more work for them.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. This is, and I mean, again, this is the whole theme for the whole video today, but it is white people's responsibility to talk to your racist family members about these issues, because we have the privilege of being able to walk away from these conversations and realistically, like, not have that racism impact our everyday life, whereas black people don't. So they have to have these conversations literally all the time because they don't have a choice, and we do. So it's just not really up to us not to have these conversations, and we don't want to like use any part of having these conversations to like further burden black friends, or just like people who again are already having to have these conversations all the time.
Exactly. I think this is number 8. Like we're pretty sure. So I think this one's really, really hard for me. Like super hard. And I also find myself towing the line here where I'm not 100% sure I'm doing this one correctly, you know? And this one, number 8, is to call in, not to call out. And I struggled with this a lot during college because in college I always just called out. And it was a situation where a family member or a friend would say something and I would immediately be like, that was racist, you're racist. Like, I can't have you, I'm cutting you out, like, get out of my life, like, you're disgusting. And that, although that's how we feel a lot of the times, that isn't productive for the person you're trying to make understand where you're coming from. The goal should be to make less racist people in the world. The goal isn't to yell at people. So, unless you're actually making less racist people in the world, then you're not really being helpful. So, I know no matter how hard it is, you should really be trying to call into movement instead of calling people out. And this is a message specifically for white people, because I think if you are someone who is actually dealing with racism, you know, like that's a whole different story. I think for white people, it is our jobs to be anti-racist and to be having these conversations and be calling people in rather than pushing them away. No matter
face repercussions from them ever again. Like they still have to face racism every day. So it's just a really privileged choice. And this point is not meant to mean that, you know, if conversations with your family are really bad for your mental health, if something is toxic, if something is like fully draining you, you know, that's not something that we endorse. Like continuing, you know, don't put yourself in a bad mental place, because that's not going to be productive either. But Eric and I have been talking a lot about what is the right balance between like telling someone what is going on. You know, you're saying something that's racist, using those words and like being clear about what's going on. First, also kind of having that like loving, like calling in of saying, you know, we're all going through this, and like as white people, we're all going through this, like trying to be anti-racist, and like calling your family members into that movement and saying, you know, I understand what you're like saying, although I think that we need to be better than the thoughts you're having. So that balance is really hard to find, and we've been trying to weigh that together a lot.
Yeah, and like that's also not to say like I think it's really easy to think like I don't know, it's just hard to toe that line because obviously you don't want to enable racist behavior or thoughts. So when I say don't call out, I don't mean ignore racism. Like that's not what I'm saying, because you don't want to enable these things, but just like making sure that your goal is to be making this person not racist and bring them into the movement, rather than just like getting off on yelling them and calling them racist and walking away from the conversation, because that person that you walked away from and cut out still is living and could be racist to the black people around them. Yeah.
Okay, so tip number 9 is something that I've used for a long time and really like to do. I think it's effective, which is find a common ground as a jumping off point. And again, like we were saying, this doesn't mean agreeing to things that are racist. You know, this doesn't mean like, I hear you, let's compromise, or agree to disagree. Sometimes it just means walking it back to a point that you can agree, so that you can then move forward into the next step forward that you disagree on, instead of being 10 steps forward away from anything you agree about. So like if you're talking to a family member who can't say, you know, Black Lives Matter, you know, you have to walk that back into like, okay, well, you know, do you like, that's a hard example.
Yeah, it's like, do you think that all people should have, like, there should be equity in the world? They will probably say yes. And then saying, okay, so can you agree that right now, you know, black people don't experience the same privileges as white people? And a lot of times they will say yes. And then moving on to being, okay, so when we say Black Lives Matter, we mean that, you know, white people shouldn't have anything more than black people, that black people's lives matter too. And kind of like walking back and then bringing it back to like where you're trying to go with it. Because I think like, especially if this is someone that you have in your life, they may be, you know, not just a shitty person. Like they could just be a good person who really is ignorant. And then so like trying to find that base point where you can work forward from.
Yeah, definitely. Trying to say like, do you think that your experience as a white person has been the same as someone's experience who was a black person? Or a lot of like white conservatives who I talk to will say like, there's not racism today, right? Or like racism is over, racism ended, which obviously is bullshit. But so walking that back to like, okay, so like when do you think racism ended, right? Like let's say there was racism when slavery existed, right? Like that we can agree upon. Okay, so let's move forward, you know, 50 years from then. Do you think racism ended then? And just like, coming to that point of like comment, like, okay, there's a clear like Civil War era, right? Like racism was there, like, so let's
Jim Crow. All right, okay, so like, you know, segregation. So like you just gotta baby steps in.
Yeah, but really like finding that place of agreement, I find to be really helpful, to kind of gain like trust and credibility. Also because a lot of times, like we've said, these conversations can be frustrating when the person is so far behind where you are at. But if you can start with like an even really small foundational common ground, then it also gives you a little bit better of a feeling of like, okay, we're getting somewhere, you know, we're like making a step in the right direction somehow, instead of just like, all we did the whole time was talk about, you know, their ideas and my ideas, which were so far away from each other.
Yeah, and like also just remembering like especially if it's like someone like your parents, you likely started off at the same point that they are.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and hopefully you don't consider yourself a lost cause. So maybe also not consider your parents a lost cause or your grandparents, and actually just really try as hard as you can to convince them and find that common ground, which you probably have because there are people who are already in your life.
Yeah.
And so we are pretty sure we've messed up with the numbers at some point.
I don't know what number we're on.
But I think we're on number 10.
Okay.
And let's see, number 10. Yes, number 10 is to practice these conversations with your friends. So just like kind of what we're doing right now. Because you don't want the first time you're having these conversations to be in a more, not a hostile environment, but a less agreeing environment. So it's just going to be more difficult when you're having these conversations with people who don't agree with you, like clearly. So practicing these conversations and rebuttals and different anecdotes, stories, appeals to logic and a million different things. Like try practice that with your friends who agree with you first to kind of get that first round of practice in before trying to have that conversation with your racist grandparent. So like we do that all the time, and like me and I have other white friends who have these conversations with me, so that we can be more prepared when we're doing that with our family members who don't agree with us.
Yeah, I will say to Eric or my other friends all the time, like, okay, well, what would you say if someone says this, or I'm struggling with, like, they always say this point, and I just don't really know how to articulate back to that. So, just being able to like practice those, especially before you go in person, because a lot of these conversations today, especially because of COVID, are happening like virtually. But one day, hopefully, these conversations will be happening in person, and that's really tough. And you want to practice as much as everyone like shits on getting in Facebook arguments and everything. I think that actually writing out your arguments is really good practice for being in person, because I think that I know, right, a lot of the points that my white family members are going to make now when I see them in person and we have these conversations, because of the fact that I've had them via Facebook, I've had them via text or whatever, and so that's given me time to think out my own thoughts. It's given me like time and practice and understanding what they're going to say. So whether it's like having these conversations first virtually, or whether it's practicing with a friend, like sitting down and actually like role playing out a conversation, or just realizing some of your weaker points in the conversation, asking your friends for advice about what they say in those moments. Definitely practicing always helps.
Yeah, practice makes perfect, and just like always good to feel confident.
So tip number 11, we think this one is to just be really willing to admit when you have said something wrong, or when you've had a whole conversation that wasn't your best. As people, as white people, we're going to mess up in these conversations. We're going to say something wrong in the conversation, or we're going to have an entire conversation that we look back on and think, oh man, I missed the main points, or I didn't communicate effectively, or I called them out in a way and just called them in, whatever it is. And it shows real humility and love, and like builds trust for you to be able to say to a family member, hold on, I actually want to readdress something I just said because I don't think it was right. And whether that's like you came off hostile and kind of attacked them and you want to apologize for that, or whether it's you didn't come off hard enough. I've done that too before. Someone said something that was racist and I didn't call it out, and I kind of allowed that to happen and move forward. And then it's okay to say, I actually do want to readdress that thing you said though really quick one more time, because I don't just want to let it go without saying that that was a racist thing to say, and had implications, in whatever ways. So being able to admit when you were wrong, especially if it's an entire conversation, we know that having those kind of conversations can keep you up at like 3 a.m., thinking about like, oh no, I wish that I had done better, I had spoken more, or I had said less, or whatever it is. And it helps with the anxiety of that too, if you just are willing to admit when you didn't do great.
So my phone just ran out of battery, but one thing I wanted to add to that last one, I think it was tip number 11, is that I think also when you show that humility and you're not afraid to go back and and say that you said something wrong, something that you didn't mean, it also gives them that opportunity to go back on what they said and feel comfortable saying, okay, now that I've learned this thing, or now that you've explained this, I also said something that I no longer agree with, or something that is wrong, or say, I, just would like to retract something that I've said, which is really important because that's exactly what our goal is to get them to think what they said is wrong. So by showing humility and not being afraid to admit when you're wrong, it gives them that same opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, normalize forgiving yourself for making a mistake in conversations. That happens all the time. It's okay to make a mistake. We're all going to make mistakes, and it's much better to just accept that and try to talk through it and learn from it yourself, as well as learn with the person who you're talking to through it, instead of just kind of pretending it didn't happen. Definitely you want to give them permission to say that they've learned new information and maybe didn't say something their best. So it's just a good thing to just kind of be humble there and recognize that you're not always going to do great, and that's okay, and you can talk through that with people.
Okay, so my last tip, and she's laughing because I've tried to record this last tip so many times, but my phone was out of storage. I've had a million different issues. Anyways, my last tip, Gene, is to be persistent and to be patient, because a lot of these conversations aren't just like a one and done. You're going to have to continue to have these conversations and just not give up, because people's minds most often aren't changed overnight. Sometimes you will have that, and it'll be really great where you'll have a conversation and you'll feel like you've made so much progress with someone, and that you've really may have changed their mind and their beliefs, pretty quickly. But I would say 9 times out of 10, that will not be the case. You're going to have these conversations many times, and it will be tiring. But it's super important to not give up, to be patient, be persistent, and to know that you are making a difference, and that with time you will be able to get to them.
Yeah, for sure. It can be really frustrating when you feel like you've had a really good, thorough conversation with a family member, especially a family member, because there's someone that maybe you really do love and respect in a lot of ways. And then to see them post another thing on Facebook the next day that just disregards everything you talked about, or to have another conversation with you in the future where it just seems like they didn't take away anything from the first conversation. That's really hard, and it's
us know, and we're happy to like hear what you have to say too. I hope this video was helpful, and I hope that it was relaxing, and I thank you so much, Katie, for being here. If you like my video, that would be really awesome, and if you subscribed, if you like my content, because I post a lot of content like this, like all sorts of content, so if you found this interesting, you'll most likely find some of my other videos interesting. So subscribe, and I hope to see you again on my channel. Bye. Just look into the camera and just whisper.